takes a lot more to write something for me because it's like all feel and it's all energy and it's all, you know, what the vibe is, what the feeling is at the time.
This is Champagne is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign-Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with a songwriter from the Champaign-Urbana music scene, past or present. Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to be a part of the Champagne Showers Podcast Network. Welcome to Champagne is Also a Band podcast. Today, I have D.Rew, also known as D.Rew. And so you may know D.Rew from the organization Hideout, which I think you heard in bonus episode 26. D.Rew, welcome to the show.
What's up? How we doing, man? It's a great day. Beautiful day out in Sodoris, out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. I haven't been on a country road like this in a minute. It was nostalgic, took me back. I'm pretty close to my home, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I'm from Tuscola.
Today we're going to be talking about your song Be a Man.
Be a Man.
Off which you're releasing it as a single now, but you have a project coming up on the 15th of December, I believe you said.
15th of December, currently working on it. 7 songs is the goal, but I only have about 3 or 4 done right now, and I'm going to have to submit it pretty soon, so hopefully it'll be at least 5 in the finished product, but the goal is always 7. That's kind of my numbers. My last project was 7, the one before that was 14, then the one before that was 7. So 7's just kind of my number. It
does have a certain balance to it. Well, anyway, yeah. I was going to say like that has that perfect, like you can have that exactly middle song, right? That's
exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Is that I have, you know, a perfect spot for an interlude if I want it, or I could just have 7 songs. And I was born on the 7th of April, so that's just kind of where that came from. It's actually what the name of my last project, 24/7. I turned 20 on 4/7 on April 7th.
Nice.
So I called it 24/7. Yeah, released it on my birthday.
Now everybody knows when to send you birthday gifts.
Exactly.
Without further ado, even though that was a little bit more ado than I usually do, let's listen to the song.
All right.
It's been a minute since I picked up my pen. Lately I've been lazy, now I'm rapping again. Ain't no one finna stop me, how I'm ready to win. Yeah, I done woke up from a dream last night that I can't shake. I had a vision, no a prophecy, a call from the wind. I was walking through a valley with my homies in Greece. We were talking about our problems, said I'd buy them a piece. We were sipping margaritas while we bound for the east. Had a black Maybach waiting on the back street. Just the boys with no noise, we were quiet at peace. We filled up all our voids, now we finally feast. Cause I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man who gon' die with no home. I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man found dead and alone. Freddie got that bag, Louis on that tag. Freezing ain't no lag. Excuse me, I'ma laugh. I will not end up in class. I'll run endless fucking laps while I will carry on my back all my baggage from my past. I don't act like I'm out past. I've been failing like my class. I don't do this shit for scratch. I make this art, it's for the mass. I don't even go to church, yet this quiet shit is gas. I've been holed up in my work like the grave, I'm digging fast. Put this school shit in my past, now I'm trying to make a stack. I ain't been focused, that's my bad. I tell myself like I'm my dad, staying steady ain't no fad. I'm sticking around, so count on that. I ain't gon' stop this rapping act, Cause I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man who gon' die with no home. I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man found dead and alone. I think it's time for a breath of fresh air. It's 1,000 other rappers who gon' make it, I swear, but won't ever fuck that game up if your boy isn't there. Cause I rap and I produce high level, go bear. I'm the center of attention, not to mention good hair. It's a pleasure doing business, new suits I'ma wear. Cause if a deal goes bad, I ain't going nowhere. Cause I'm a careful motherfucker, I don't deal with a snake. I got 20/20 vision, no Durant's in my way. I'ma set off on this mission like I'm Nas with an A. I'ma start off on this quest, 5 years with no rest. I don't fuck with a test, I'm more like a pest. I wear that like a crest, that messy no mess. I've been staying up next, like Sofago Midwest. Except I'm here to impress, I'm in no disrespect. Cause I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man who gon' die with no home. I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I can never be a man found dead and alone.
Welcome back. So, of course, my first and favorite question to always ask is, what came first? Was it the music or was it the lyrics?
It is always the beat for me. When I'm making music, I produce on FL Studio. I'll just sit down at the computer and just open FL on a blank project and just go from there. And usually what happens is I'll just scroll through my samples. I have like different places I go to find samples and stuff, find a sample I like, and then just see what happens from there. I mean, I just try to make music every day just to keep with it and to always be improving, because it's what I want to do, man. It's what I love. So I think I remember that one was just the sample, and I heard that and I was like, oh, this is gonna be a D.Rew beat for sure. Threw the drums on in a pretty standard like trap pattern and whatever, and then I really liked it, so I just started writing. I mean, that's usually how they go. Is I produce so much stuff. I mean, I make 2, 3, 4 beats a day, and then sometimes I'll get inspired to write, sometimes I won't. I try to just let it be natural.
You just kind of keep those extra beats. So if you don't end up fleshing them out, you just keep them as instrumentals for a rainy day. Or
yeah, I mean, I send out a lot of instrumentals to my friends. Actually 3 or 4 people right now are using some of my beats for upcoming projects and stuff, so I'll send them out to other local artists, or they just exist in my folders that I have very well organized. And I just want to say that I have them very well organized because it took me a long time, so I need the people to know that my computer is extremely organized. I put so much time into it, people got to know even though they don't really care.
I do get that. I may just cut this out, but I'm just curious. So why is having it so organized so important to you? Like,
I would say my PSA to independent artists is take the time to organize your computer files, because I have lost so many beats, that even beats that I've sent out to other people that I bounced as WAV files, and then they asked me like, yo, can you go back and adjust this, or can I get the stems or whatever, and then I lost the beat. I have no idea where it is. I don't know what I named it. And then I'm just like, I can't, man. I'm sorry. I could try to remake it or whatever. And that doesn't happen very often because I did this a while back. There's no reason to lose a file. The only reason you lose it is just because you didn't have it in the right spot, or you didn't have a good name for it, like a organized name for it.
I mean, certainly understanding your own workflow is super important too. There are so many reasons that I empathize with you on that sentiment, because at this point, with 100+ episodes, as well as bonus episodes, as well as some other things, like I've being able to be organized, or at least be consistent with the way that you store, name, etc. Which I guess is that the definition of organization? I don't know.
I would say that if there were one, that would be it.
Well, sorry for that little tangent there, but I go on tangent. I feel like that's good, because I think that there's a lot of engineers out there, there's a lot of producers out there, there's a lot of composers out there that I have to say in some of my earlier writing that I kind of wish I had done naming conventions a little bit better, or at least known when I created it, or when it was finished, etc., so that I could have at least put them in the correct spot. Anyway, back to the song.
Yep.
You started off with the sample of the gospel choir, "Oh Lord, please deliver us, which is kind of an interesting choice. Did you do anything with the sample? Like, I mean, obviously, yeah, you might have spliced it or whatever, but did you do anything like put a filter or something on it? I'm just curious because I definitely
pitched it up and sped it up probably a little bit. And I know that actually one thing I did that I don't do a lot is so the whole sample has like a choir in it. It has like an organ, some like really, really light drums on there. And FL Studio recently had an update where it'll auto extract stems, so it can like detect the vocals, the drums, and it'll put them on separate things. It's actually pretty solid for it just being like built into FL. Usually the AI stem separation type stuff is usually pretty garbage, but I find FL's is really good. And actually I did use that on this beat because it opens up with just the choir and then you hear the drums and stuff come in. I mean, that's just me taking the stem extractor, putting the vocals that I got from that first, and then I went into the full sample, and then it breaks down again after like the first verse and hook where you just hear the organ and stuff. Actually, if you were to solo it, if you were to just hear that, you could hear tiny little artifacts of the vocals and like the drums in there and stuff because the stem extractor is not gonna be perfect. But that was basically it. I think I sped it up. It's definitely pitched up, but I'm not sure if I sped it up too.
That would make sense because there is a certain, and I don't know if this is just because of the stem extraction part, but it feels like the frequency itself, well, even the frequency itself is kind of like a thin, like it's not a full spectrum of audio. It feels like it caught a certain like band within the EQ, but it also, because if you did speed it up, there's also that little bit of warbly quality from like whenever you speed up something that has vibrato, it always has that warbly. Anyway, I was just curious because it works, so it's not like
I thought it sounded cool, so I just went with it.
I'm curious, like when is the point at which you're working on a beat, there's a moment where it clicks in your head that this is one that you want to put lyrics to? I'm kind of wondering when is the moment of creation, so to speak. Like when does it start becoming something more than just kind of an exercise? Would that be a fair thing to say? Like if you're just creating beats,
you know? I mean, every time that I make a beat, I always go in with the mindset of there will be vocals on this, whether it's mine or whether it's someone's that I send it out to. So I'm always trying to make sure that there's space on the beat for vocals, because a lot of newer producers, but just producers in general, I mean, even experienced ones, a lot of times will kind of fill up the production enough that there's not really space for like vocals on it. I'm always leaving space. As far as like what determines which ones I personally write to, honestly, it's just kind of with the mood I'm in. Like if I'm in a mood to make a song, I pretty much always just make a beat that I think I could rap on for the most part. It's just if I'm in the mood to write or not. I mean, I don't know if there's any like specific moment that's like, oh, this has got to... It's usually once there's like a loop that I can kind of hear, and I'll start hearing flows in my head or whatever, and then if lyrics start to come out, and I find that once I get the first bar, the first rhyme scheme down, that's really where it makes or breaks whether or not I think I can continue writing or not. Because if the first rhyme scheme isn't hitting for me, then I usually just kind of move on to the next thing, or I'll come back to it eventually. But I don't usually come back to things, strangely. If I make something, it's usually all like in one session. I have so many beats that I think are like way better than stuff that I have out. It's just when I go back, I just can't write on them because I just love the beat so much. And those are usually the ones I send to other people.
So this song in particular, once the beat comes together and you say, okay, this is something I'm going to put vocals to, did you think of, okay, this is going to be the point of the song? Like, this is the idea? Or did you just start rapping?
I mean, the first bar of the song, it's been a minute since I picked up a pen, and that was just reflecting that this was the first song I'd written within like, because I mean, I remember earlier you saying like you think in like 5-year increments. I kind of have a similar thing, but not with years, but with projects. And I think it might be to a fault too. I should probably put out more singles and stuff like that, but I'm always thinking in projects, like in terms of whether it's like a music album or whether it's like a music video. Like I can never just like have a singularity. Like I'm always thinking in like a project or a group or whatever. So I'll write a bunch of songs at one time, and then, you know, maybe that kind of burns me out for a little bit from writing, and I'll keep producing because I never really get burned out of producing. But like writing, it takes a lot more out of me because I think it's just a little bit less natural to me, and it's something I've been getting better at for sure. But it just kind of started, I just said, it's been a minute since I picked up my pen. Lately I've been lazy, now I'm rapping again. I mean, I don't put a lot of like metaphors and like hidden stuff in my lyrics just because I think it's cool when people can do that. That's just not something I'm as gifted at. You can read my lyrics and you just kind of know exactly what I'm saying. I try to sometimes slip in like double entendres and stuff like that, you know, as I come, but I don't think it's worth it to force it, because usually when I try to force like having like a hidden message or whatever, like I feel like it never really clicks or it never sounds natural. Like I just kind of write my thoughts and eventually they kind of come to a flow and then a rhyme scheme and then bam, you got a verse.
It's just interesting to me, whether you intended it or not. This does feel like, at least I think of, if you think of your verses as like a story, they're like different acts. I mean, you know, I do tend to overanalyze or even like over formalize structure or story structure or whatever. That's my analytic tool.
Yeah.
So I like to look at this overall piece as like maybe it's a little too on the nose, because it really is, you do say it in the first two lines, is like, it's been a minute since I picked up my pen. Lately I've been lazy and now I'm rapping again. This is like a comeback song, like something to talk about how you are turning something around. Things are looking up. I divided the three verses into these categories of like, the first verse is kind of the potential. So in the second verse, it's more of like what you have to overcome, what's going to be your uphill battle. I kind of thought of the final verse is either your self-realization or, in a certain sense, like a victory lap. Like, you know that whether you've actually accomplished what you were setting out to do, you realize that you have something to be proud of, but yet you know that you still have somewhere to go. So it's not like the end of the journey. Right. It's like, okay, this is a good spot. Like, this is a victory, but I still have so much more to go.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's definitely not what I thought when I was writing. But I love that, though. I don't know. I just kind of like write my thoughts. I never really have like this huge picture. And it's funny, I have this song called Feta. It's off of my second project called Baja. The song, I used to work at a grocery store in the dairy cooler, and I just saw Feta, and I just thought that would be a cool hook. Like it was literally just the cheese. But my mom is an English teacher, and she loves that song. She was telling me all these ways that, like, you know, my stupid lyrics about feta cheese could be a message about society or whatever. And I'm just like, nah, that's not at all what I meant. Making it seem like I really was in the lab, you know, cooking like Kendrick or whatever. But even then, like, does Kendrick think about all these things that, like, analysts will praise his verses about, you know, for having these crazy story arcs? And it's like, I don't even know if he like intended that. Kendrick definitely could. I mean, he's my favorite artist ever. So I think like the way that people analyze lyrics is always so crazy to me. Like, as an artist and just as a fan in general, I'm like, I don't even know if like they intended that, but like there's always a story in everything, whether you mean it or not. And I think that's so tight.
As I am a fan to say on this show, is the way that I interpret your lyrics probably tells people more about me than it does about you. Going through my point of view filter. I kind of want to jump into the third verse, because actually that's probably the one that I have the most questions about. So not really questions so per se, but you use real people as a reference in the final verse. And I think that that's interesting, because I think in some ways, don't they say, you know, that comparison is like, I don't know, I'm sure somebody's going to shout, like, know exactly what quote I'm saying, but comparison can be like very destructive. But I think that, you know, since this is that self-realization part, I think that you comparing or you using specific people or referencing certain people is kind of important to that third verse. So like I hope I'm correct in all of these things, you know, when you say like, because I rap, I produce high level Gobert, it's Rudy Gobert. Okay, good.
Because the next line is, I'm the center of attention, and Rudy Gobert's the center.
Yes.
I have my lyrics here too, so
awesome. Yeah. There's Gobert, and then there's Nas, which we know is a rapper, and then you've got Messi, and that's, you know, Lionel Messi.
Right.
Okay, cool. Right. I love it. That I'm getting. The only one that I'm not so sure about.
Give me those next ones.
Well, actually, scooting back to I got 2020 vision, no Durant's in my way.
Yeah.
And is that the Pokemon?
No, that's Kevin Durant.
That's what I thought, and I couldn't, so I Googled that, and I was so sure, and then that's totally what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Even before I Googled it, I'm like, but I'm old, and I make mistakes. So I looked, and the first thing that showed up under Durant was these Pokemons, and I was like, it seems like he's using a lot of sports figures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that you can't jump, but, they're these... like insectoid kind of metal something, if I read it correctly. And I was like, okay, I could see you're kind of tossing a little you're doing that secret nerd thing where not that all
no, I
Pokemon
know exactly
people,
what you're saying,
but you're making a reference to Pokemon because why not? And I was just like, okay, I get it.
No,
but I mean, both work.
Yeah, that's a crazy double entendre though. Especially when I mention anyone, any real names, it's usually just because I think it sounded cool. The reason I say no Durant is because I said the line before is I'm a careful motherfucker. I don't deal with a snake. I guess for those who don't know, Kevin Durant was referred to as a snake back when he signed with Golden State after he left, because Golden State beat OKC in the playoffs the year before, and then he went to join the Golden State Warriors and they formed a super team. So I just say I don't deal with snakes like that. I got 20/20 vision, no Durant's in my way. I thought Snake and Durant.
Oh yeah.
No disrespect, I love Kevin Durant.
I thought that it was Kevin Durant, but then I was just but then when I Googled it and that was the first Durant was the Pokemon was the first thing that showed up, and I was like, maybe I have it wrong. And then I scrolled and I'm like, I don't see Kevin Durant, so maybe I have his name wrong. But anyway, just because I searched only on Durant, so that's fun. I think that's awesome. See, this is why editing is good, because then we can go down some of these paths or not. But when you use those names, I mean, because they're all packed in there in that third verse. And so I'm like, when you think about making those kind of references, is that something that you actually process, or it just kind of comes out?
I feel like name dropping and rapping is so common. And like when I hear artists in songs, I feel like a lot of my favorite bars, or just the bars that stick with me, are ones that have names of popular figures and stuff. I don't know, I just recognize the names, but when I'm writing, I write and I use people's names a lot and whatnot, and I think it's just because when I hear songs I like and they have references, I'm like, that's cool. I don't know, I think it makes it easier to listen and then remember the bar, because you're like, oh, that's the Messi bar, that's the Rudy Gobert bar. This dude dropped Rudy Gobert in a song or whatever.
I think when we can use those names, or even if we make reference to something, it's a very efficient way of using words to create an image in somebody's head, right? Maybe that's why it's so effective, because it's food that has more nutrition packed into it, you know what I mean? It carries, it goes a lot further than just a few words. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, I like to think that that's why we use that. When did the hook come about? And how did you think about that in terms of how, I know how I think about it in terms of anchoring all of the, I guess that's what a hook is, right? It's the thing that anchors all of the verses and kind of brings them cohesion, or at least they should. I'm sorry, back to my whole formal thing.
Hooks, for me, this is probably where I struggle the most as an artist, is coming up with catchy hooks and melodies and stuff. That's just not my background. My background's in drumming and rhythm. That's why verses are, honestly, for me, I feel like for rappers, flows and the way that rappers sound matters more than the lyrics themselves. And I think that's just my brain, the way I hear songs. I hear songs in terms of flows and drum beats and rhythms and stuff, more so than melodies or lyrics. After writing that first verse, I just kept writing. I mean, I didn't have a song structure at the point. I was just creating. Then I just thought, I can never be a man who be dead and unknown. I was like, I could probably go on with this flow. I could never be a man who go die with no home. I could never be a man who be dead and unknown. And I was like, oh, this I think this might be a hook. Even still, when I wrote it, I was like, or it could just be a little tangent thing that just happens once. But then I just copy pasted the recording after that second verse And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be the hook.
I wanted to actually ask about a choice that was made in the first verse where this happens twice, where the instrumental breaks and stops. And I'm wondering, because you only use it in the first verse, and I know that, you know, the first verse is kind of the about the potential, if we're going with my interpretation, you know. So in some ways, the way that my brain interprets that is that's like an auditory version of like a stumble. Like you're getting somewhere, but you kind of step on something. But it's also, you know, the things of, because you're like, I had a vision, break, and then no, a prophecy, you know, like vision, prophecy, you could say that those are synonymous, but it's like you're doubting your own words. But as a rapper, you're a wordsmith, so why should you be doubting your own words, right? And then it happens again, like when you mention the black Maybach. I also feel as another stumbling block is I feel like when you focus on the fact that it's all about getting that great car, getting that fame, getting the thing that looks like you have it all together, whether you can actually achieve it or not, even if you reach it or if you don't reach it, it's something that just kind of holds you back, if that makes sense. Like, it's what was your thinking in terms of creating those breaks? Because I feel like they're kind of jolting in some way.
That was entirely the reason. Instrumental breaks or cutting out the beat in rap songs is crucial. It really puts obviously all the emphasis on the vocals when you cut the beat. I mean, naturally. And I think that happens a lot in rap music specifically, but even just in music in general, like cutting the beat. I guess the reason I thought those ones, because I said I had a vision, it was more the way I said, like, I had a vision. No, a prophecy. Like, I don't know why I did it at that specific spot. I just thought, like, it just sounded right, like, in my head. And then the black Maybach line, I love the way Maybach sounds. Just the word Maybach, it sounds like luxurious. Obviously, I've never been in a Mercedes, but I talk a lot in my songs about dreams and visions and destiny and whatnot, and that's mostly just because, I mean, that's where I'm at in my life right now. You know, I'm 20 years old. I'm looking forward to, you know, I want this life. I want to be, you know, a well-known artist. I want to make a career out of music. I want to, you know, live comfortably and whatnot. And so I think I talk a lot about visions and prophecies and dreams and stuff, and I have plenty of songs that are geared in that direction. And I think it's just become sort of a natural thing to, like, in rap, you want to talk about, you know, you want to boast about these things, you know, having the nicest cars or whatever. And I don't really have that because, I mean, that's not the point of my life I'm at right now, but I can still talk about the chase. And while I'm on the chase right now, you know, in my life, like, I'm at a really pivotal moment right now. I'm kind of leaving school and trying to do music full time and whatnot. And that doesn't really necessarily have the reason why I cut it there, but I just thought that that's just where it needed to be. And I think when you cut the beat, even just once or twice in the song, you know, it really brings that, like, separation between the vocals and the beat, instead of, you know, everything needing to feel like it's all together. Like, you can kind of feel the different parts of the song. And I guess I didn't cut it at any other point, mostly just because the drums were in already and whatnot. And I don't know, I guess I just never really felt like I needed to fully cut the beat again. I don't know. I try not to think too hard about it, kind of do it where it just feels right.
And this is probably my own over-analysis is, you know, when I write, I probably overthink things and underfeel them. I'm like, well, I mean, you know, it's been 16 measures. You probably do something different rather than it feels like I should do something different.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something, I mean, I'm sure in some ways it can save you in a pinch when you're just not feeling it or you need to make something happen. But anyway, sorry. Just
I know exactly what you mean, because, like, I don't really have that much, like, musical training. I mean, I started music school this semester. I was doing political science at the U of I. I switched to music at Parkland, which is where I've been. I wasn't interested in my theory class, or I had, like, a ear training and whatnot. The, you know, formal music training and stuff is super valuable for the people who hear, but, like, for me, like, I just can't, the formal stuff just doesn't, it's just not there for me. And I wish it was. That's the reason I think I struggle with melodies, is just because I really don't know music theory that well. It takes a lot more to write something for me, because it's, like, all feel and it's all energy and it's all, you know, what the vibe is, what the feeling is at the time. And that's why, I mean, I only ever really write songs alone, just because like I just can't do it in like big group studio sessions or whatever. Like all of my stuff I write on my own. I'm a very extroverted person, so that it's strange, but I think my energy just, I can only focus on, like, I'm not great at focusing on a lot of things at one time. So I try to do everything just by feel, because I think that's just the most natural way to make music. The formal or the way that things are supposed to be, I guess, you know, there's a reason for that too. So I think they're both valid, or any approach is valid, I guess.
I remember I think it was in high school, I remember a music teacher was just like, yeah, music theory is great. It can be helpful, but it's there to be an assist if for some reason you need to get over that hump, or you need to get over that thing where you're just stuck, and then it's just like, well, let me just try a little different math. You know what I mean? Like that's the way that I think of it, is just like, well, let's divide instead of subtract, you know, let's see how that works. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my favorite part of the song. My favorite part of this song is in the second verse. I talked about earlier that I feel like the second verse is all about what you have yet to overcome. And so I think that my favorite part is the verse where it's like, excuse me, I'm a laugh. I will not end up in class. I'll run endless fucking laps while I carry on my back all the baggage from my past. I don't act like I'm a pass. For some reason, I just feel like that's the one part where it's like, yeah, I'm willing to do the extra work, and I know what has been against me, or the things that I, you know, carry with me. For some reason, that really spoke to me a lot in that verse, in this song. Like, you could even consider that a turning point in the song, where it's just like, I realize the hard work that I have to do, and then I have to get to where I want to be. So to me, that was my favorite part of the song. So I'm just curious, what is your favorite part of the song?
My favorite part of the song is definitely in the third verse. The drums go out after that second hook. It goes to just hearing like the organ, and then the sample comes back in as it ramps up, like, because if a deal goes bad, I ain't going nowhere. And like the way that comes in, because I'm a careful motherfucker. I remember when I wrote it, I was flowing, and I had the beat structured that way. Like when I was writing just for this part, I just knew I was going to have, after the second hook, I knew I was going to have like the instrumental change up a little bit to bring the energy down and then go back up. But I just loved the way that, because I'm a careful motherfucker, I don't deal with a snake. I loved the way that sounded as the beat came back in, as the drums came back in. Like, I just thought that like the way that I said that was just awesome. So that's probably my favorite. Like, every time that comes on, I listen to it in my car all the time, and every time I hear it, I get so hyped. Like, I love that part. I got 20/20 visions, no Durant's in my way. I think that like I sound in the record, I just sound so like confident. I sound so like sure of myself, and I love the way, I like it when I sound confident, because I don't always.
Maybe this is more me extrapolating here, but you know, I've heard different reasons and different perspectives of why a person finds a certain part of their song like their favorite part. It's interesting to me that it feels like it's not necessarily the end result that is what makes it so much your favorite, is just that those elements kind of aligned in a correct way. The way that it landed in just even a serendipitous way, or just the way that you did it, it sounds like the memory of making it is what also gives you like a certain sense of it. My final question really is, what made you want to talk about this song specifically today?
Well, one, I think it's probably my best, or one of my best songs I've ever done, and I'm so excited for people to finally hear it. This is the first song I've ever made a music video for. That was just an aspect that I just never really went after. I mean, I do everything myself. Like, I produce, write, record, engineer, and then I do all the marketing and all the, like, I do everything myself, except the cover art and stuff. Sometimes I'll have like friends do that who are better at graphic design and stuff. But so as far as music videos goes, I was just like, I'm just not going to deal with that while I'm trying to, I mean, I just felt like I needed to focus on the music better. But now I'm more comfortable with making music. I feel like I can do that more efficiently and still have a lot of creative energy left for visual. So this is the first song I'm making a music video for. It's the lead single off of my upcoming project. I feel like this is the best song that I've made that I could like really sit down and be like, yeah, this is why I love this song. And I think that a lot of the lyrics are just very indicative of where I'm at in life, where I feel like I am, like where I want to be. It just feels like the song that I got going right now in my car all the time and whatnot. And I love this song. Simple as that. It'll be on my upcoming project, Lemon Lime Life, which is the name of the project coming out December 15th.
Champagne is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Jubilee Cafe. Jubilee Cafe is a free weekly meal program at Community United Church of Christ, 805 South 6th Street in Champaign, Illinois. Jubilee Cafe serves a home-cooked meal from 5 to 6:30 each Monday. Their mission is to feed hungry people by cooking healthy, delicious meals and by serving their guests restaurant-style with servers waiting on tables. Jubilee Cafe is open to anyone who cares to eat with them. Because food insecurity among students is so high, they serve students as well as others in and around the Champaign-Urbana community who struggle with hunger. Meals are free to all and will be served each Monday evening, located in the accessible lower level of the building at 6th and Daniel Streets in Champaign. For more information on the meal or how to volunteer, go to the Jubilee Cafe CUCC Facebook page or email them at jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. That's jubilee.cafe@community-ucc.org. Welcome back. So, Drew, do you have a favorite Champaign-Urbana venue?
I did. My go-to venue the last year and a half was 404, just a house show venue, couple of friends, people in Hideout and whatnot. That isn't a venue anymore just because the people moved out. So now it's a couple of my buddies run a place called the Echo Chamber. It's like a couple blocks from my house in Urbana. So that's probably the place I've been to the most recently. But most of the house shows are pretty similar. That's really the scene I'm tapped into is the house show scene, mostly because I didn't even really plan, but like the house that I live in Urbana is basically in the middle of all the house show venues. There's some that are down the street to my left and then like behind me. So I'm just kind of surrounded by them. So I just, when I see a show on Instagram, I'm just like, whatever, I got nothing else to do tonight. So I'll go to the show, have a good time. As far as like performing, I just perform wherever I go. I'll take any venue. I mean, I recently did a show, I guess a show in quotation marks, but it was at the Siebel Center for Design, and it was like in the media room, and the only people there were my family, even though it was a public event, because it was like a thrifting event, was like the main thing, but there was a media room off to the side, and they recorded the whole performance. So I have like a visual of my performance from there, and I have like the direct audio. So it was cool to do that instead of like just trying to perform in front of people, but it was so different performing like basically for a camera instead of performing for people, especially as a rapper. Like, you get all your energy from the crowd and riffing with the crowd and whatnot. So it was interesting in that regard, but I kind of ended up treating it just like a long music video. That's just to say I've performed at places on campus, at house shows and whatnot, and I just love doing it. That's my favorite thing to do is perform. So I'll perform anywhere, anytime.
If I didn't live out here in the middle of Sodorus, I wish that I could go to more house shows just because I feel like there's an energy there that you don't get in like a regular bar show venue,
Without a doubt. It's just all college kids, it's just college kids being college kids and just, jumping around, and, the bands will sometimes play like covers or whatnot. Usually it's originals at a lot of those just because, people have time to make originals nowadays and record them and whatnot because you don't have to be signed to a studio or whatever. Like, you can just make it. Originals are a lot more common nowadays, but the covers always get the crowd moving, and the energy there is cool. I mean, there are people that just want to get drunk. They just want to get drunk somewhere other than the bars. So you have those people sometimes, but go into a lot of house shows, I see the regulars, and they're very Urbana, is all I'll say.
Never truer words spoken.
Mm-hmm. There's always like an appreciation for people who just love live music. There's a lot of people like that. I mean, my family's like that. We'll go to places around, small towns or whatever that just have live music just because we just love live music. you know? So I think there's a lot of people like that, and that, so that it's not like a strange thing, like, why is he here? Like, just here for the music, man. Just here to enjoy it.
I'm just curious, like, what do you think makes a good music community?
First and foremost, I mean, support. You know, the professional music industry is so competitive, and competition is sort of like the thing that gets the most media coverage. I mean, who gets, you know, who has the most streams, or who, you know, wins whatever sale battle. But like, I feel like that's so irrelevant in general, but especially for local music scenes, not in big cities. I just feel like there's no reason to be so competitive. I mean, we're all trying to get our music out there and, you know, make a living off this or be successful in some way. And like, I feel like Champaign-Urbana, I feel like there's never been like beef. Like, it's always like, I want to succeed with you. It's not like I want to succeed and, you know, I don't care what happens to you. Especially as a producer, and I send my stuff out, like, people recognize that, and they want to like support me and my stuff. And like, my streams are like super low compared to a lot of other people's that are in the scene, and but like, I don't have any sort of like resentment towards that. Like, I'm like, oh man, my guy Femi got, you know, 2,000 streams on his song. Like, my top song has like 250 streams, but I'm cool with that, because it's like, that's just how it is right now. And the support and like genuinely wanting not just to see other people succeed, but, you know, there is some level of selfishness that like, you want to succeed with them. I want my friends and my people I work with, I want them to succeed because I also want to succeed with them. Making it very clear that like, you are supporting them and you want to be with them, it makes, you know, someone more likely to have you tag along, you know, with their journey. You know, if they were to take off with traction, like, I could work with someone as their producer, like as an engineer or whatever. Like, there's no reason to be competitive in the market like this, to a certain degree. I mean, competition's great, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, it's better if it's like a collaborative effort to try to like get up there and succeed, rather than like, I have to succeed and you can't, you know, type of stuff.
As a coin flip on that one, what do you think Champaign-Urbana could do better?
Champaign-Urbana obviously is not a very big hip-hop community as much as it is Midwest emo, alternative rock. Like, that's really where the bread and butter is in terms of who gets to play at the house shows, who gets to play at the bars. Like, it is not the people making hip-hop music. And a lot of that, I think, is just because a lot of the hip-hop artists are, you know, solo, and it's just harder to get booked solo than it is with a band. I wish that there was a bit more of an acceptance for the hip-hop community in Champaign-Urbana. The people who are in it, the people who make hip-hop music, whether we're producers or rappers or whatever, like, we're all very supportive and like very involved in each other's work. But outside of that circle, it's still hard, even in Champaign-Urbana, for local rappers to really get the time of day at house shows or at events, just because the standard is, you know, sort of the alternative rock or the Midwest emo or the cover bands type stuff. Because I mean, that's just what's been around for so long. I mean, American football and whatnot, like the originals of the Champaign-Urbana music scene. I mean, my parents both went to the U of I, and they remember all the, you know, alternative bands of the time. And, you know, now that landscape is changing in music just in general, but I wish that Champaign-Urbana was a bit more open to having a coexistence of the hip-hop community and like the bands and alternative rock acts and stuff like that. So I wish maybe there was a bit more space for us, but, you know, we do what we do.
From the time that I started this podcast, it's become more and more clear to me there's probably more artists within the hip-hop community here in Champaign-Urbana than there are all of the other genres. It's just that it's a matter of exposure, and it's a matter of where people can play.
Exactly.
And worldwide, hip-hop is probably one of the, I think, if I remember correctly, in the world, it is one of the most popular genres.
Definitely.
It seems like we're putting a lot of light under the bushel. There's a lot of people creating things, I guess, in their own studios in silence, you know, almost, you know, like in this like vacuum. And I feel like I've tried to at least increase the amount of hip hop that we talk about here on this show, because it, you know, I have just as much of a pool to pull from as I do from the rock and the emo and those genres, which seem huge, but they're only ones that are being performed or seen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
I think part of it is also that hip hop is so easy. Like it's very easy to just say that people in Champaign-Urbana making hip hop are all just amateur, because there's a reason why a lot of people make hip hop music, because you can do it yourself. Like, you don't need a band, you don't need a big recording space, you just need a mic and a way to make beats or a way to download beats or whatever. Like, it's so much more self-sufficient. I think that's why there's a bigger volume of hip-hop artists in most scenes, is just because, you know, anyone could download FL Studio free trial or whatever and download a beat, write to it, record, put it out on SoundCloud or whatever. Like, you can do that all in an hour. Making a rock band, you know, you have to get everyone together. And so I feel like it's just, you know, bands maybe get taken more seriously, or acts like that get taken more seriously, because there is that live, you know, someone's playing guitar on stage, you know, someone's drumming or whatever. But like, when it comes to hip hop, like, I just plug my phone in, and all of my, you know, I put a lot of effort into crafting sets for live shows. I mean, I have like interludes and I'll do covers or whatever. Like, I try to have like a really cool live experience, but that's just because I love performing. But I think that people tend to shy away from just watching some dude rap on stage for 30 minutes rather than watching a band for 30 minutes. So, I mean, there's definitely a reason why hip hop isn't as prevalent in the community in terms of shows. I think that maybe, you know, at least there should be more of an opportunity for that, even if it's just like specific venues that are, you know, known as sort of where the hip hop artists can be. That doesn't really exist right now. I would like to see something like that.
Champaign is Also a Band podcast is proud to support Exile on Main Street. Exile on Main Street, located in the old train station building at 100 North Chestnut Street in downtown Champaign, has been helping to build record collections since 2004. Carrying a wide array of new and used LPs, CDs, and video games. Exile on Main Street has something for just about any music enthusiast and old-school gaming devotee. Exile also hosts regular free live music shows on its stage, so be sure to check out their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for the up-to-date details on the next upcoming event. Open 7 days a week, they can be reached by phone at 217-398-MAIN. That's 217-398-6246. Welcome back. So, Drew, what is your favorite non-musical thing or things?
I play a lot of video games. I'm sure that's a pretty common answer. I just got Modern Warfare 3 last night. It just came out, the remake or whatever. I play a lot of games, man. 2K and COD and, you know, just whatever the homies are playing. I have a cat. I just love being with the cat. Just trying to think of my day-to-day, man. Like, what do I do on my day-to-day outside of music? I spend a lot of my time, if I'm not making music, coming up with like the marketing for stuff. So man, I don't know, like, I've dedicated so much time to music and to getting my stuff out there that I kind of lose sight sometimes of what I like to do. I mean, when I'm just chilling, I like to watch YouTube. I like to watch music YouTubers, but I also watch people who I love sports, just following sports. I don't really watch sports. It's crazy. I'm very into sports, but I don't really watch the actual games. I've always just been more focused on like rosters and like, and it's so weird because I've been playing video games my whole life. I mean, I'm 20. Most 20-year-old guys, you know, grew up with game consoles and stuff. So I grew up playing like Madden and 2K, and like I suck at those games because like I don't really like play the games. I like to do the career modes and like the franchise modes, build rosters and win championships and stuff like that. And I don't know why I like doing that as much as I do. I think there may be some sort of parallel there to why I'm always thinking in projects and stuff, like focusing on like one individual thing, like one game or whatever. Like it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. Like I like to focus on the people of it. And, you know, I'm very into politics. I was doing political science for a couple years, and I've always been super into politics. I never wanted to do law school, or I never really cared about actual like legislation. I've always just been interested in like the elections and the people of it and like the stories of the people. So like, I think there's something there about like just how much I enjoy like just seeing how people and organizations work rather than the actual game itself of the sport, which I've always thought, and most of my friends that are really into sports think I'm just kind of crazy for that. Like, I'll watch the Super Bowl, I'll watch NBA Finals games, I'll watch whatever, but like, especially nowadays, I don't have cable, and like getting games, you have to subscribe to 8 different things. So like, I almost wish there was like a service that just had everything together, like, you know, cable.
Right.
But whatever, I digress.
You know, in this question, you've kind of circled around to this idea of, in like the bigger picture, where it's not just one song, it's the overall impact of the story. And like, you've always been like that.
I mean, even as a kid, like, I would write books in quotation marks, but I would spend all my time like creating like video game ideas or storyboards for movies or whatever, like, but I never did it. Like, I never like made the effort to like actually try to understand how a video game is made and make it. But like, I just had ideas for like, oh, this would be a cool Batman video game, or this would be a cool way to do this. And like, I've always had like affinity for creative ideas, but actually like going forward with doing them or like seeing them in practice has never really been something I've been good at until I really decided to do this music thing seriously. But I've always just been creating weird things that people don't usually make. I just have like a list of ideas in my phone at all times. Like, I have folders in my phone on my notes app. I'm a delivery driver, so last night I was struggling to see the house numbers on like the different houses that I was delivering to, because I deliver at night. There's got to be some way to like make like digital house numbers like on the street or whatever, like that, like appear on like the side of the street, or like some way that's like lit up and like is, you know, where to look for delivery drivers and stuff. So like, I don't know, like, and I have a 24-hour pretzel place. That's another one I had. Like a hotel chain that's designed for night owls. So check out and check in is like at different times, and the pool's always open. Breakfast goes till like 2. I don't know. So I don't know, like that's just kind of something that like I'm always thinking of like ideas, and like I have a lot of fun in just like trying to flesh out ideas of just whatever, even. So I don't know, I spend a lot of free time just doing that.
Drew, thank you for being on the show and
thanks for having
me about your song Be a Man, and about the Champaign-Urbana music scene and your favorite non-musical things. So I appreciate you making the trip all the way out here.
Yeah, lovely day. Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Drew, otherwise known as D.Rew, reminding you great music is out there. Go find it where you live.
That's a wrap.
Champaign is also a band.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio South Bigger on the inside.
They're very Urbana, is all I'll say.